Yeah. Hi, I'm Alma Gačin. I'm a visual artist from Sarajevo. I know Bojana through Facebook.
Yes, I know it.
Yeah, but never met you. For these purposes. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Anya. I'm from Maska Institute. We talked with Bojana and Roxo. We now are creating this UFU research team, and we are trying to tackle these topics regarding ex-Yugoslav space and living in the region and so forth. So, yeah, hello.
Hi, I'm Diana, a dramaturg from Zagreb.
Hi, my name is Vera Mevorah. I am actually a part of this team, which is a host. So I'm here from the Institute of Philosophy and Social Theory in Belgrade. I'm an art theorist, etc. A couple of other things, and been on a while on this journey of Yugofuturism with Maska crew. So, and very happy to see new people thinking about this. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Bojana. I'm a producer with Maska, relatively new on the job, but very excited to be here.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
So shall we then introduce ourselves? My name is Bojana Knežević, and I'm interdisciplinary artist, and I'm co-founder of Femkanje with Katarina Petrović.
Yeah, I'm also an interdisciplinary artist. I studied in Belgrade, and then I moved to the Netherlands to study a second master's in art science. And I live in the Netherlands for the past 8-9 years.
Back then in 2013, both of us lived in Belgrade, and we were young independent artists. When we founded Femkanje platform, we started from the idea to open a media space for young female artists of Serbia and Yugoslavian region. Also, you know, we were our own position was that we also felt that there should be more space for us, more space for expression. And so we started with ourselves and our colleagues, our closest colleagues, and we slowly started to build this huge network. So basically, we started as a radio show at independent and online radio No FM. We were a live show. Here is the first show, and this is so interesting because how actually we started to work. It's actually really symptomatic how the things actually evaluated later. So Katarina was actually the first guest of Femkanje. And then she just stayed. And then we continued. And so far we did like 88 shows and interviewed more than 120 people. So when we started the radio show, first we collaborated with Radio No FM, and then they also didn't really survive as a platform, so we turned into podcast, and it was also easier for us to go with the recorders, so we could also do interviews on different locations and so on. And and then we started Belgrade was really a frequent place in that moment. It was really like it's not like it was really intense, but also
I think it was a moment when the cultural scene was really transitioning, because the
yes,
contemporary art has been closed already for 5 years. The National Museum of Art was also closed, and the cultural scene did not have like art galleries that are for profit or non-for-profit as we do now. So there was a bit of a vacuum in the scene in which you didn't have the institutions, but you also didn't have the self-organized platforms so much. You only had a few.
Exactly, and many young artists from the region were coming to Belgrade. Belgrade was a hotspot in this moment of the independence ex-Yugoslavian scene, I would say, and we were like slowly building this network, like from our own okruženja. Sorry, I'm a bit like Katarina, help me. Yes, around environment, and then also our guests were suggesting new guests, so it was really like a chain reaction. And in the end, after when we started, we will mention this later, how we started the sound installations. But in this moment, 2015, when we got the invitation to make a first installation, we realized that we mapped the independent scene, like most of the like active young female authors from the independent scene we actually interviewed in this moment. And yeah, you can see here on our Spotify.
Yeah, podcast.
And
by the way, I was wondering if you maybe had a chance to look at the PDF document that I sent, but there was too little time, perhaps. I'm asking the UFO group.
Sorry.
Has anybody seen any PDF document that came from?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Much to see, sorry, but yeah, I saw you sent.
Okay, no problem. Because this was a document and statement of reflection on our practice that was written in 2016 when we were exhibiting in Ljubljana, and there we kind of summarized how basically what we observed in Belgrade or in our local scene, we found that actually it was quite true for all ex-Yugoslavian countries, the position of women and position of women in culture specifically, and the position of an independent artist or author without the support of healthy cultural institutions.
Yeah. So we basically felt that we shared the same, really similar experience. And what is also interesting, that the first invitation for our to exhibit as Femkanje was coming from Slovenia.
Yeah, so after, maybe we should just do a little overview here. Is that after that basically our practice has three, in the past 10 years, it has kind of three chapters. The first chapter was the first 2 or 3 years of us working on radio, having a show every week live. This is the first season. And then after this crazy tempo, this started in 2013, we were invited by Lenka Đorojević and City of Women Festival in Ljubljana to exhibit at their exhibition that was in Škuc Gallery. And this kind of form, that then becomes the moment we step into the second phase of our project, where next to the radio and podcast, we are now doing art and media installations. We're building it more as a platform rather than simply a podcast. And we start exhibiting, and we have made quite a few installations by today. And in the third phase, we kind of also now stepped into the zone of archiving not only the conversations and sounds that came through our platform, but also wider kind of, maybe I would say, superimposing this view that women in culture are marginalized, and that same way sound in art is marginalized. And we're also at the same time trying to build up a sensitivity and platform in which sound can be shared within the domain of arts. So in this presentation, now we were talking about how everything started, what were the ideals, and now Bojana just introduced the first installation in Ljubljana. So now we will talk a little bit how these conversations led us into a next step.
Excellent. So radio mapping the independent scene, and this is like still interviews, and this is panel. So first exhibition, it was within the festival Mesto Žensk. Radio mapping the independent scene. This is like 16 channel sound installation. We were using materials from our archive. So 64 shows recorded by that moment were played simultaneously, and map on the 16 speakers because of the 16 months of work. Actually, this was like 16 months of work and 64 shows. We were thinking about what is actually uniting us, this similar experience of different, like young also, female and also male authors from the region, similar frustrations, similar fears, and maybe visions of the future. But they were also thinking about like similar problems on the independent scenes. So we realized that this independent scene cannot be localized in one country, within one country, but the whole region could have the similar issues. So we were thinking about how we can we have this utopistic idea to have this like all this independent scene like united, so they can unite and change the things for better. So it was really a sweet and cacophonic experience. So we actually you could hear all these voices simultaneously. This is called the cocktail party effect, but also you could listen separately. You can see in the right corner and that you could also listen separately to individual shows.
I wanted to add that now I lost it, that basically it was important that we felt as actors in the scene that people are not as in solidarity with each other as they should be. That's really what we felt, because there were quite a few resources with which you could fund your practice. There's quite a few ways that you could live, good life after you graduate from the academy. That I think we both felt really frustrated with the fact that the scene is not coming together, and not only that, but that the scene is not coming together within the ex-Yugoslavian countries, because there is so much in common. And so this was basically an artificial way of bringing everyone together. putting them together in sound.
Mm-hmm. And then we have another with the same work. We participated at the 8th Triennale of Contemporary Art in Ljubljana, created by Boris Groys, Beyond the Globe. So you can find this PDF that we sent. It's actually text for this exhibition, and you can find it also in the catalog. So this is basically the same installation, slightly different, but actually also we were also, as Katarina mentioned, the position of sound art within the contemporary art, or the idea of sound installations are still something that it should fight for its place within the system of contemporary art. And we are also it is interesting that that actually we are mostly talking about visual arts in our podcast, and most of our guests were actually visual artists. But it also gave our guests, because they're most of them are female artists who are probably like traumatized by this mass media environment, and where it is really important how you look, how do you look, or and you don't really have the space to express yourself and talk about your practice. So I think it was also, we created a bit of some kind of shelter for our guests, and really a comfortable zone where they can really talk without any censorship or anything else. And yes, this is good actually. Bridge to another installation. This is also presented in Slovenia. It is a Femkanje open mic, and it's actually invitation for to participate in ongoing live stream that was actually on our website. We had like a 24/7 stream of the surveillance of the gallery space. You can see on the right side there was just a microphone, and you could actually express yourself.
Yeah, here the idea was to really make it horizontal, that you don't need to be even invited to be a guest in our show. We yet give space to anyone who has anything to say or wants to share. But then it was really funny because we didn't count on this, but we started actually listening to all the conversations within the gallery that were not supposed to be heard by us. So we began surveying basically the space. That was a side product.
Yeah, this is the idea of this like unseen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this idea of uncensored media spaces, it is also risky. You know, like you cannot really then you cannot really control which kind of conversations will be on air. Yes, so this is in Novi Sad, exhibition, performance, performativity, and document.
And this is the exhibition at the Cultural Center of Belgrade. So the previous exhibitions were before Corona. We could divide our time here before and after Corona. No, I'm joking, for us it doesn't really matter, because actually in terms of recording shows, we had quite a long break since the last one that was published, I think in 2018, maybe. Yeah, 2018. But we kept working with the materials we had, and we also started an archive, which is now the third phase of our project, that was basically constituted with yet another exhibition, and this was at the Cultural Center of Belgrade, where during Corona, or right after the Cultural Institute reopened, we were invited to present Femkanje as a project in the Podrum Gallery. And this exhibition was titled Spaces of Togetherness. And yes, we wanted to reflect on what we have done. So we brought, again, the entire archive, the entire podcast into the space, so that I don't remember how many speakers we had in the
18. And we divided a bit differently, but it was already 3 seasons of podcasts. So when we started working, dealing with the sound installations, we also continued with our podcast and do another seasons, not so frequently, but yeah. So here we're like 88 shows.
Yeah, and it's the reason why we like this kind of setup with cacophony is that at the same time you have the noise and the chaotic atmosphere in which you step in, but at the same time, by your movement through your space, you can isolate specific voices. So by coming closer to a specific speaker, you can hear what they're saying. But maybe we didn't mention about these conversations is, yes, most of them were visual arts, but we had a lot of people who weren't in the visual arts, coming from film and theater, sometimes even science and activism, music, quite a versatile crowd. And some of them have been quite active in the and on the topics of ex-Yugoslavia or Yugoslavian socialism and feminism, of course, and activism. So we will give a few examples of these conversations. But what is very interesting is that with this exhibition, we not only presented the archive of the podcast that we had, we also started a new archive, which is the sound database, which you can find on our website. Before we go into the sound database, we started building we're building now for 2 years. Here's a short video of how the space in the cultural center actually felt like with all of these speakers.
Why?
Is it from within the presentation?
Yeah.
Do you have it on YouTube? Maybe you can share your screen if you go to YouTube.
Maybe I can find it on our Femkanje Drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Femkanje Drive. If you go, yes, or wait, or I can actually share it now with the Femkanje Drive, just in case. Like maybe it's easier now to just I don't know, it worked, but yeah. Wait.
Do you want to send me the link, or here I found it?
It's actually in the shared with me document, like Femkanje. You go Femkanje, like and then you go Femkanje at KCB.
Yeah, that's where I am. But it's
and here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the one I thought to share, but okay.
Why?
I think it is on YouTube, actually.
Of the recording, maybe if it's recorded in 4K, it's not readable for Zoom.
Okay, you found it on YouTube. Great. This is another video, but
to je ono leglo, buva I sve stvari. Mislim, to je turistička ovako atrakcija zato što je, ne znam.
Šaljem kroz kalem iz kompjutera da mogu da čujem totalno bez ikakve žice povezanosti na drugoj strani.
What kind of knowledge has or what kind of significance? Not only in fashion is legitimatized. So, for example, written scholarship.
Pojačajte.
Da, Harmonia Polis je zapravo jedan muzički koncept. On je realizovan u vidu websajta I te male knjižice koje
to je ono leglo, buva I sve stvari. Mislim, to je turistička ovako atrakcija zato što je, ne znam.
Harmonia Polis je zapravo jedan muzički koncept. On je realizovan u vidu websajta I te male knjižice koje smo radili.
Okay, this book this sound is not following the image in this video, so actually you don't get the best impression.
Yeah, this is like this is another video. Luckily, we found anything like on YouTube. Yeah, this is like for sorry for this, like 4K. So yeah, so when we had the exhibition Spaces of Togetherness, this the exhibition contains of two parts. One is like physical part in the space of the Culture Center of Belgrade Gallery Podrum, and another is online exhibition and a sound database that we basically started building as a preparation for the exhibition. So what we asked our most of like we started with our previous guests, but there are many like more outdoors now. I don't know, like maybe I don't know the number exactly how many of them, but more than 30 definitely. So this is collection of sound documents of contemporary artists around the globe. The idea is to extract sound from different media environments. So basically we had also composers and sound artists, but we also had like sounds from the videos, from video installations, from the performances. Actually we gave them freedom to choose from which like context they were like sent their sound, from which context they were extract the sound. So of course we had also poets and some poetry readings and maybe some kind of like also we had like just audio messages from artists. So it's really diverse what you can find there, but you can also curate it by yourself by choosing which order you're going to which follow. Or you can also, the interesting thing is that you can also actually create a cacophonic experience by playing many different sounds in the same time.
Yeah, so here maybe I would play two excerpts. Of course, please go through it and play around. You can play multiple things at the same time. So actually you can kind of DJ with this within the sound database. But, yes, do you have any questions? No? Yeah. Here we thought that actually Lenka Đorđević would be interesting with the work, Is There a Women's Issue in Our Country? Where she asked a little girl to read the text from the Central Committee report on the Women Anti-Fascist Front. And I will play the first minute of it.
Socijalizmu tuđa shvatanja. O ulozi žene u društvu koja još nisu iščezla iz svesti ljudi i žena jedan su od glavnih uzroka relativno malog broja žena u rukovodstvima političkih i društvenih organizacija, a naročito u organima narodnog upravljanja. Uklanjanje zaostalih shvatanja o ženi olakšat će da se otklone objektivne smetnje koje spremaju puno i razvojno učešće žena u ekonomskom, političkom i društvenom životu zemlje. Kongres osuđuje kao nedopustivo i tuđe socijalizmu svako zapostavljanje žena u privremenom, političkom i uopšte društvenom životu. Dužnost komunizma i svih naprednih ljudi jeste da se stalno, sistematski, uvek i svuda bore za veću i stvarnu ravnopravnost žena u svim oblastima privrednog, političkog i društvenog života.
Možda još jedan isto zanimljiv isječak je mini pogon sa OTG kolektivom i Inka kolektivom koji su tokom that during Corona they collaborated and actually recorded quite a lot of conversations over the phone. So here is sharing of the story of one of the older women talking about her work time during Yugoslavia.
Radila sam, dok se nisam udala, radila bila na selu. Posle udala se i radila u tekstilnoj, radila u kako da kažem, radila na mašini, radila, šila šatore, šatorska krila za vojsku šila. I sve mi je to dobro bilo, i sve je to dobro bilo. I sad narod se uskuko, za Boga šta je u karantinu. Pa
ja se izvinjam.
Kao pomoćni radnik.
Zapravo sam, I wanted to play actually this lady.
Na jednom mjestu sam radila i tu sam dobila penziju. Decet više sam imala, pa stvarno sam se namučila, a sad je ovo najgora strahota ovo što je sad.
She was basically saying that she has been working as a, how do you say, pomoćni radnik, as a
worker,
like an additional worker. So
assisting, yeah.
Yeah, so any kind of work that she could get, she would get, and it was very heavy work. She says they suffered, but what we have today is the ultimate worst. But this whole audio is a collection of different kinds of accounts of people who have lived the Yugoslavian time and today. Apart from these, we of course have many more. There is quite a lot of recounts on how it is in today's society, also in respect to the past, to the position of women and the position of artists. And I will come back to the presentation. But do you need to leave now?
Yeah, actually, let me see what is the next. Okay, so I'm actually now in the same building where we had this one of our last works. It's like Femkanje Archives Forces of Sound in Kunstler House, Betania, within the exhibition Manifest Yourself, Queer Feminist Manifestos and Suffragettes. Yeah, but maybe Katarina, you can tell a bit about this work. This was basically overview, like a special podcast episode after 10 years of Femkanje, and where we try to reflect on our the whole work. And also we are dealing a lot with the topic of noise and silence, like with this tension between noise and silence, and comparing it to the position of female authors or queer or any kind of like marginalized.
But also to the position of women in a way that the voice of women, historically speaking, has always been considered noise, unwanted, and to be cleared out from the signal. And in this case, we really wanted to emphasize the noise in the setup, and we used the sound database materials together with a new podcast episode we recorded, which was an 8-channel audio specifically made for this installation. And afterwards, we exhibited the archives, Forces of Sound, in the Museum of Contemporary Art in Novi Sad. I think this is just a few months later.
No, it was like 2 weeks late. It was like 1 week later or something like that. Guys, thanks a lot. I really need to leave. I mean, it was also today. It was really also complicated for a bit for me because I was traveling and all these delays with trains. Katarina knows, like luckily I managed to arrive to at least participate for half an hour. So good luck with everything. Thanks a lot. And I leave you with Katarina. She will answer all of your questions. And see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
Ciao. Yeah, well, this is the end of our... But you didn't leave.
Yeah, I need to leave twice.
And this is us dancing in front of the Museum of Contemporary Art, doing kind of the witch dance, wishing for it to open after 10 years. Yes, I also wanted to actually, before we go to questions, maybe there is another author we interviewed quite early in our podcast. It's Marta Popivoda, that perhaps you've heard about her, but she is the film director, and she has been working with Yugoslavian video and film archives for the past 10 years already. And in this conversation with her, which is now 10 years old, I don't know how time flies so fast, but she is talking about the work that I would definitely recommend you to see if you haven't. I sincerely hope you know about it. Yugoslavia, How Ideology Moved Our Collective Body.
It was on Manifesta in Pristina last year.
Ah, yeah. It's very nice. And now she's working on a new movie about Knežević, who was the last dancer at the Youth Day in '89, I think, which I don't know. It's a great movie, and yeah, this is Sonja Vukicevic. So now she's actually following her today, what she is doing and how come she ended up doing this performance. So it's kind of zooming in on this last Youth Day. Yeah, so I will stop sharing, and I guess we have about 10 minutes for a conversation. If you have anything to ask or something you would bring up.
Yeah, what do you think, like, what happened in these last 10 years with the scene? Like, could you notice the difference, and like what changed? What do you think the problems of the scene are today?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it when I was now going through our entire list of guests, and actually I can tell you that it's my impression, but I'm not 100% sure. I think 50% of the people we talked about, they don't live where they used to live then. it's quite apparent to me that a lot of people left their countries, me included, also Bojana. Or Bojana is actually planning to leave, but it's incredible how many people have immigrated. Yeah. And that's, yeah, I think that's a very big issue. And on the other hand, we see proliferation of practices which are for profit. So we have so now we have really a boom in private galleries in Belgrade that are fostering contemporary arts, and there is very little critical discourse around what is being presented. So everything is left to the market rules, basically.
Yeah.
And I also find that a problem. And then secondly, what the independent Nezavisna kulturna scena, the Independent Cultural Scene Association, they have been fighting for better conditions for artists for the, I don't know, since their constitution. And the recent struggle is how the Ministry of Culture is funding projects. And of course, it's a very precarious position and nothing has improved and a lot of people left. And so to me, it's basically a state of deterioration. And this is something we already knew, and this is why we started this 10 years ago. And I am really at the edge of my heart, so to speak, that, yeah, that significant improvements have not happened, really. And in some of the conversations, if you listen, like, now I can't remember with, I think it was actually with Marta, she says, and Natasha, she is the montageur for her. They say, you want to fight and you do everything you can to move the limits of your practice on what you can do and yeah, how far you can go. And if you are being stopped continuously where you are, you're gonna go somewhere else where you can move those boundaries.
Yeah.
You won't change your boundaries. You're gonna go work on those somewhere else. And that's exactly what happened. Both Marta and Natasha don't live there, don't live in Serbia anymore. They who are speaking about the problem at that moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so many people left. I guess the entire region. Yeah, like Serbia, Bosnia, Croatia as well.
And when I moved to the Netherlands, actually both me and Bojana kind of decided on the spot that what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue making Femkanje, tracing all the people who have left ex-Yugoslavian countries. So what we did in the second season is we interviewed people who, I interviewed people who are in the Netherlands, from Tao Vrhovec Sambolec, a Slovenian artist living in Amsterdam, to Jasna Veličković, a composer from Belgrade living in Amsterdam. A lot of our people are, Bojana was interviewing people in Vienna, of course, another Serbian city outside of Serbian border. So yeah, and this is what we hope to continue, but in the same time, we want to make all our podcasts in English now, so that this is more approachable to more people, and that we diversify, so that the conversations about people who immigrated from ex-Yugoslavian countries are mixed with the people who don't have such problems, perhaps, who have been creating in the scenes from like where they are from.
Can I ask you a personal question, or maybe if you already made a couple of episodes with these immigrants, or
yeah?
So I'm wondering now from this perspective, how much better is it in Holland than it is in Serbia? Like, is this whole, especially in the art and the culture?
I have to say that it is significantly better. No, really, it is significantly better. Yet it is not great.
Yeah.
But for instance, something that often comes across to me personally is even with Bojana, is that our artists in Serbia that I have collaborated with, I don't think this is true for Slovenian artists, I have to note, or Croatian. It's just somehow in Serbia, people didn't get to that point yet, is that artists are not businessy. They really don't think like entrepreneurs. While me living in the Netherlands, I have been running my own business for 8 years. I am in the eyes of the state an entrepreneur. And I think like that. So I know how to do invoices, how to do taxes, all the boring things. And when I talk with artists in Serbia, they're simply like, oh, I don't know. How much is the percentage on the author honorarium? Anyways, I'm going to do it black. And there's like this disconnect between what you do and what state thinks you do. Because in the Serbian context, we don't really have a good professional support for a freelance or independent artist.
Yeah, you don't get paid.
You don't get paid, of course. You don't get paid. For instance, in the Netherlands, the cultural sector introduced to the government about 7 or 8 years ago a thing called an obligatory artist honorarium to any kind of artist work. And they have created a calculator so that based on how much your institution is making, there's the amount that you're supposed to pay the artist, and then you calculate by if it is a solo exhibition or a duo exhibition or a group exhibition, if it is a new work, modification of the work, or an old work, and you have a calculator online, and they have made it mandatory that all the institutions that are receiving government funding have to pay honorarium, which is that calculation.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that something like that is going to happen in Serbia.
Just going to say, I cannot imagine that happening here. Like we had problem in Croatia, even having a transparent document that says how much an institution should pay a cultural worker, from directors to dramaturgs to actors doing freelance in the working freelance. So it is a document that is online. It is available to everybody. It was done by a association of writers, cultural workers that work in the arts, contemporary arts. But institutions act as if it doesn't exist at all. So it's really basically, there is sort of a need to even push it further, so to make it more visible and for the institutions to sort of even have a relation to it. To say, yeah, we know about it, but we are not going to pay. That's already a position, but they just ignore it. So I can imagine something like that happening in Croatia. It would be like, wow.
Can I ask another one? Or it's 4 o'clock?
Yeah, we can wrap up slowly, but we also have Katja with us already, and we'll switch to her after this. And I think it's okay. Well, like maybe 5 minutes and then 5-minute break if Katja is okay with that.
Then you, Katarina, you can maybe be. I mean, it's very fantastical question in terms of fantasy. So what I want to ask, I mean, it's very rare to have somebody who has that kind of, who is a chronicler of this kind of scene. So I'm wondering, and what you're saying about entrepreneurship at art is actually quite dystopic for me. It sounds really dystopic. So I'm wondering, just from your pure mind, how would you imagine, or how do you imagine the future of especially women independent art anywhere?
Yeah, well, me personally, I'm quite radical in my views. I think we need to overhaul the entire system of arts as well. I think that the arts, as we understand them, they no longer, they have been instrumentalized and no longer can serve the purpose that we all expect an art practice should serve. And being the space of, I don't know, imagination and also escape, and also of how do you say it, coming into being. So actually, I have found the trajectory for me that I think it works, and it's basically, I think that all different kinds of practices that we really need to work on transdisciplinary approach. So kind of also the same way of this coming togetherness, I think we also should think about these practices in togetherness and not as art separated from, I don't know, humanities or philosophy, or that we should always think of them together. And that same way, all different practitioners, be that they are male, female, or anything in between, or anything outside, are just taken equally. So basically, in my fantastic view, I don't know, we would be doing art science practice. But truly in transdisciplinary practice, which would mean also reconstituting institutes. Right now, if you want to do art science, you are not belonging to arts, and you're also not belonging to music, and you're not belonging to philosophy or social. It's very difficult to place. So all these practices which are difficult to place, I would emphasize them. All the in-betweens, actually.
I like it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, we will